Brian with Cajun Cardboard, coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and I'm a lazy ass. So today, I've decided, this has been wearing on me. I'm going to re-release and republish what I think is one of the best, most original, inventive videos I've ever done. It's from way back March of 2022. Back then, I probably had 400 subscribers. Now we're pushing 3,000, and I'm getting almost 40,000 views a month. So I don't think a lot of you guys have seen this video. If you have, watch it again because it's fun. I even watched it again myself. And so I'm re-releasing a video where I give you my top NBA Jam arcade teams from the 90s, and we talk through what the ranking is for these teams. It's not necessarily who's the most fun to play with, but it's based on historical resume, which of these NBA Jam teams, duos, has the best credentials between the two players. And so a lot of you guys are old like me. You're either in your 50s, pushing your 60s, or you're in your late 40s, even early 40s. You probably played NBA Jam at some point because, you know, they kept re-releasing the game. Well, I'm going to show you with some sound effects. I'm going to show you with some actual video footage. We've cut and pasted some stuff off the original game. I've got an arcade game at my house with the NBA Jam on there. And so I did this fun little video in March of last year. I wanted to re-release it because I'm lazy. I didn't want to do a new video today. So I'm re-releasing this one. Shame on you if you haven't seen this yet. Go back. I got a lot of really good videos in the history of my channel that you guys can pour through that are evergreen, which means they'll be fun to watch, you know, this year, next year, 2032, whatever. God willing, we're all still around. So check out this video regarding my top 5 NBA Jams teams. Thanks for watching, guys. Hey guys, Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with a really cool video, a little outside the box today. We're going to be talking about my top teams from the original 1993 NBA Jam arcade game, the stand-up arcade game. We just got this game in my household. My kids love it. And I was going through the rosters and I was thinking to myself, which team would I want to choose if I was putting together the best team in real basketball, right? And so what we're going to talk about is I'm going to rank these teams today based on their statistical resume. On paper, what they accomplished during their career. Every person that you see in this video today, their career is over. It started, it finished. So we've got a full-length view of what they did or didn't accomplish in the NBA. We're going to look at that for each one of these duos. There's only 26 teams because they didn't have the expansion until a few years later. So we're looking at 26 different teams, and we're going to put them in. Those that did not have a chance, then honorable mention, or those that were next best, then honorable mention, then we're going to go through my top 5 in order. Stay tuned to the end. Number 1 is not who you're going to think. Number 2 is definitely not who you're going to think. But balance being the key here. Start going through your head, thinking about who you would put from the original 1993 NBA Jam rosters as your number 1 team of all time. So without any further delay, let's get cranking here. Remember, we're ranking these teams based on what they actually accomplished in the NBA statistically, okay? Not who you like to play with on the game. That's going to be for the comments below. I do want to hear comments on who you guys used to always click and use when you saved your initials in the game from playing this game back in 1993. That's another conversation. Put that in the comments. But this video you're about to see is about what they actually did in the NBA. Okay, so before we get started, as you can see, I'm wearing an NBA Jam shirt. Man, I've got the whole theme going here. So I've got my guy, the Greek Freak, on here, and I've got Middleton on here, Silky Smooth, Cash Money with a K. And I got this shirt as a gift from a friend of mine who is a hobby collector friend of mine. He's in a group chat with me, and he unsolicited sent me this shirt. And I cannot tell you, this is not your average t-shirt. This t-shirt is beautiful. When I got it, it fits like a glove. It's the really good kind of stretchy material that you just like to put on. It's not that like hard, crusty fabric. www.homage.com. I'm not getting paid. I don't have a link to get like kickbacks or whatever. I am just telling you, these shirts are badass. And if you like the NBA Jam, or you like the NBA, or you just like cool retro ideas, which most of us who are collectors do, go to www.homage.com. And there's just some examples of shirts on the cover, and you can see Booker and Chris Paul, Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and then John Collins and Trae Young. A couple of great duos from the current NBA. Wouldn't it be fun to play NBA Jam with these guys?
Here it comes.
So without any delay, here you go. This is what your main screen used to look like on that 93 arcade game. If you guys were playing on a stool or you were playing, standing up with your friends, you could go four-way. This is one of the first games I remember being able to play four-way. Gauntlet, of course, was one of them. But NBA Jam, you could actually play 2-on-2 and have four human beings control four, computer players. And so that's what the screen looks like with the white noise behind it and NBA Jam just popping out in your face. Hopefully just seeing that image is going to bring back some nostalgia. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video. You're really not going to like who I put at number 2. I didn't want to put him there.
No way!
It's almost more controversial than who's at number 1. But here you go. These are your teams that have absolutely no chance whatsoever.
That's an air ball.
You can see the Kings on there. All of these teams are missing something. Either both of the players are terrible or
rejected.
One of the players was okay, but just not quite enough to carry the other one into the top 10. So you got Tisdale and Spud, no chance. Worthy, great player, Hall of Famer. Divac, not enough. Manning and Harper, of course not. The Clippers suck forever.
No surprise there.
Hawkins and Hornacek, a nasty shooting duo, a team you would love to use in the game, but when you look at their resume and their historical career on paper, Hornacek had a nice career. Hawkins didn't quite accomplish too much, so between them, not enough. Harper, another really good NBA player. A lot of people say he was one of the most difficult guards to score on because they allowed hand checking, and he was just country strong, like super strong hands. He would guide you where he wanted you on the court. His sidekick is Mike Uzzolino. 99.9% of y'all have never heard of that guy.
You must be joking me, fella.
And you're probably not player collecting Mike Uzzolino, so no chance for the Mavericks. Gugliotta and Grant, that's not even the best Grant. That's Harvey Grant, Horace's twin brother. Certainly didn't do much in the NBA. Gugliotta, nice little NBA career, but not enough to get him into the contention for the best NBA Jam team based on historical stats. Rice and Cycli, really fun team to use on the game. Rice would shoot your threes. Cycli would dunk everything in sight. He was actually a really good NBA player, by the way. And then Cycli had a great defensive rating. Actually, I just wanted to point out, I have the best Ronnie Cycli PMG Red in the world, as far as I know.
Who cares?
That is just a nice little tidbit of information. I am now bragging about my Ronnie Cycli PC.
No surprise there.
Derek Coleman and Petrovic, again, would be really good in their prime. They just didn't do it long enough. Unfortunately, Petrovic was taken from us way too early, which was super sad. He was fearless. He was a shooter. He talked trash to Jordan. He was really fun to watch on the Blazers, and we never just got to see the best of Petrovic. So between those guys, just not enough. Leitner in person, absolutely no chance whatsoever. Those two guys would have killed each other if you put them in a room for 5 minutes, let alone played on the same team in a 2-on-2 game.
I'll let you think about it.
Those guys, I don't think any of their teammates really dug either one of them, to be quite honest with you. They probably would have killed each other. And then Larry Johnson and Kendall Gill, super balanced team on the game. They got way too much respect, as you can see, in the three-point categories for some reason. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the development team just didn't do their research, but I don't recall Kendall Gill and Larry Johnson making tons and tons of threes. Certainly not more than Hornacek and Hersey Hawkins, and it looks like they have about the same rating. But you can see Kendall Gill is super balanced. So if you're one of those conservative, boring guys, if you're a banker, you probably want to take this team. Like maybe you're an accountant. You want this balanced team because you don't want to take any chances. But not good enough to get in my top 10. This is a post-production edit. You're not going to believe what I did. It's true irony, and it's sad, and I must apologize to all the Milwaukee fans worldwide. I'm not going to take a long time. I forgot the Milwaukee Bucks, my favorite team. And I think the reason I forgot them is because their duo is Brad Lowhouse and Blue Edwards. So they are the 27th team, the mystery team that's forgotten and doesn't show up in my PowerPoint presentation in my slideshow. But no worries. They are by far the worst team. So they are ranked 27th. You may continue with the video now.
That was embarrassing.
Here we go. These are honorable mention, not quite good enough here, okay? We're looking at Sean Kemp. He's saddled with Benoit Benjamin. Absolutely awful blob of a center, a true sloth.
Uh-oh! Ouch!
Not a good player. Kemp was phenomenal. He was fun to use on the game, and he had a pretty good statistical resume and a career. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best players not to be in the Hall of Fame. but he's not in. So Kemp Benjamin, not enough. Mutombo Ellis, exact same thing. Same analysis, not enough. Mutombo, great. Mutombo, Hall of Famer. LaFonso Ellis, never got it done. Wilkins and Augmon, same thing. Wilkins, Hall of Famer. Augmon, not quite good enough. Really exciting player and really fun team to use on the game. I don't think they gave Augmon enough credit for his dunks if you look at that little green bar, but it is what it is. Price and Doherty, we're getting closer, right? So these guys were both all-stars, okay? So you've got some more balance, but they just weren't quite good enough. Not Hall of Famers, not perennial all-stars, but they both made a few teams. Mark Price is a tremendously underrated point guard in NBA history. I don't know anybody who player collects him. He was a very, very good NBA player and didn't get nearly enough credit. Brad Doherty, not so much. He was basically just stuck in an era where there was a bunch of really, really dominant, great centers, and he just kind of got lost in the shuffle, even behind Rick Smith and some guys like that. There was just some really, really dominant centers during that time with Olajuwon and Hakeem and those guys. You got Reggie Lewis and McHale. Who knows on this one, right? So, unfortunately, on the game, McHale was I think 74 years old, and so you'll see his ratings are really, really low. What's ironic is they thought that McHale could defend people at age 70 because they gave him one of the best defensive ratings on the NBA Jam game in 1993. I'm not really sure. He started playing in the 70s, so I doubt that McHale was a very good defender in 1993. Just my guess.
I'll let you think about it.
I do remember watching him thinking, I don't know how this guy's a Hall of Famer, but he was super crafty and a really good offensive player. But by that time, he was really old. But even with McHale's really impressive, Hall of Fame resume, it's not enough. Reggie Lewis, again, just like Drazen Petrovic, tremendously talented player. Everyone would have loved to have seen him flourish and have a long career, but he was taken from us way too soon. Rest in peace, Reggie Lewis. Not quite good enough, those 5 teams to get in, but a little bit better than the first teams we looked at. Next on the list, these are the true honorable mention, okay? So these are the teams that I qualified as 6 through 10. Again, remember, we're talking about what they accomplished in the NBA. If you go back and you look at them on paper, which teams combined between the two players belong in the top 5. These 5 I deemed were close, but not quite close enough. Drexler, Hall of Famer. Porter, All-Star. So really good backcourt, really good statistically. Same thing with Hardaway and Mullen. These two are kind of on the same level. Both backcourt teams on NBA Jam. Not a lot of dunking going on with Hardaway and Mullen, but they could both stroke the 3. Hardaway was super fast on that game. I do remember that, and he was tiny, which was always cool to use a little tiny guy. But Hardaway and Mullen, again, Mullen's a Hall of Famer. Hardaway is close, but if you go look at their statistical accomplishments, it's really not as prolific as you would think. I think they both made about 4 or 5 All-Star teams and about 3 or 4 All-NBA teams, but that's not going to crack my top 5 from a duo, believe it or not.
Like my wife always says, not tonight!
And Hardaway's actually, I think, on the list to get into the Hall of Fame, so it sounds like he's got a pretty decent chance to get in. Obviously, that was Run TMC, which was a really fun team to use in basketball video games, just missing only Mitch Richmond. Pippen and Grant, again, I think Jordan wouldn't give licensing or whatever, so no Jordan. It's just Pippen and Horace Grant. Horace Grant was a pretty decent player. He was really just a perfect fit is what he really was. I think he did actually make an all-star team, believe it or not, but as you can see, he didn't shoot threes. But he was just a really solid kind of a, defensive-minded, intelligent, hard-working post player. Not really fantastic offensively. So his statistical accomplishments aren't great. He just happened to be on one of the greatest dynasties of all time. Pippen is what he is. I don't have to go into too much detail, but Pippen alone is not enough to lift this team into my top 5. In fact, I'd probably have that Bulls team, because it's missing Jordan, I'd probably have that Bulls team behind Drexler, Porter, and Hardaway and Mullen. Based on statistical accomplishments. Next is Ewing and Oakley. So we're going to see a lot of teams with fantastic Hall of Fame centers, and then we have to look closely at their sidekick. Oakley fails in many, many, many ways. If I was in a fight in a bar, I would want Oakley. If I was in a three-point contest, I would not. If I was trying to win the NBA Skills Challenge, I would not want Oakley on my team. But again, he was an enforcer. He was a leader by fear, honestly. Even some of the toughest dudes in the NBA feared Charles Oakley. There's tons of great Oakley stories on YouTube and on the internet. If you haven't heard them yet, go find them. He was one of a kind, nasty, nasty dude, and but not good enough in basketball to lift the Knicks team into my top 5. And then next, this team was also really close. Barkley was better than anybody on this page, probably. in my opinion, statistically and based on what he accomplished in the NBA, I would say he's better than anybody on this honorable mention page. But Marley just wasn't quite enough as a sidekick to get him in there. So the Suns fail for that reason as well. This would be a fun team. I think Marley's three-point rating, I'm not really sure. It's paltry. I thought all he did was shoot threes pretty much. But anyway, that's what the developers thought in 1993 of Dan Marley's three-point shot. Look at that little green bar right there. Okay, so let's get into our top 5.
He's heating up.
You ready for this? See if right now, I'm going to take a little bit of time, let you gather your thoughts to see who I've left out and who's going to be in this top 5. Like I said, I don't think anybody's going to argue too much with number 1. Number 2 was painful for me. So team number 5, as lopsided as it gets, if you look at Scott Skiles' accomplishments, he was the 1990 Most Improved Player. He was also a mean SOB, but probably his most notable accomplishment as an NBA player was he tallied 30 assists in a game. He just had one night in Orlando with, honestly, not very good teammates where they were just on fire.
He's on fire!
And everything they shot was going in, and that's how you put together a 30-assist game. It still stands as the all-time single-game assist record in the NBA today. That, again, is not enough, despite the fact that you've got an insane list of accomplishments over here for Shaq. I won't take too much time. Hall of Fame, 15-time All-Star, 14-time All-NBA, which is significantly more notable than making an All-Star team. It means you were one of the 15 best players in the league. 2-time scoring champ, 4-time NBA champ, 4 rings, 92 Rookie of the Year, obviously 92 All-Rookie team. Shaq was 3-time All-Defensive. People forget that. He was a 3-time All-Defensive player in his younger years. He was a 3-time All-Star MVP, which doesn't mean too much to me. And he was also 3 times Finals MVP. People think it was Kobe and Shaq, but it was more Shaq and Kobe for those finals, in my opinion. Shaq was the MVP 3 times total in his NBA finals. For the 4 rings that he has. He was a 1999 MVP of the NBA as well. So a notable accomplishment there. He's clearly on the NBA's 75th anniversary team. He would be on, in my opinion, a top 15 of all-time NBA list.
That was too easy.
Comment below if you disagree with me there, but I'm putting Shaq right there somewhere probably between 10 and 15 on the greatest all-time NBA list as far as statistical accomplishment and resume and awards and achievements. So that's team number 5. Ready for team number 4. Here we go.
He's heating up.
David Robinson and Sean Elliott, another relatively lopsided team. Why I give them the nod over Shaq's Magic team is just because Elliott was a significantly better player than Skiles, in my opinion. He made 2 All-Star teams. He was a 1999 NBA champion with David Robinson. Obviously, he was also on the 1989 All-Rookie team. He was an incredible college player, really tore it up for the University of Arizona. If he wasn't the National Player of the Year, he was definitely in the conversation. He was a very, very good college player. I do recall that, and I remember being really excited when he got to the league and collecting some of his cards. But Sean Elliott was a little bit better than Skiles. Robinson is just a tiny notch below Shaq when it comes to the actual numbers and the statistical achievements. He was a Hall of Famer just like Shaq. He was a 10-time All-Star. He was a 10-time All-NBA. So that means he was one of the 3 best centers in an era of centers for an entire decade. He was a 93 scoring champ where he edged out Shaq in that famous last game of the season where he scored 71. I think it was 71. It might have been 70. I think it was 71. I'm not sure. He was a 1990 rebounding champ. He was a 1991 blocks champ. So he's led the league in scoring, rebounds, and blocks in 3 different years. He was an 8-time All-Defensive player over Shaq's 3. 89 rookie team, 89 rookie of the year, 91 defensive player of the year, and 94 MVP. And remember, Robinson was robbed of a couple years where he had to serve for the Naval Academy. I shouldn't say robbed. Thank you, of course, for your service to the country.
Yes, yes, yes.
Probably the tallest Navy man of all time.
No way!
But if he'd had those 2 years, his numbers would be even more imposing and more impressive. People forget about him. They always think Shaq and Olajuwon were that much better because Robinson was such a nice guy. Man, look, Robinson had an incredible statistical resume. Elliott's a little better than Skiles, so that's why they get the nod at number 4. Let's look at number 3.
He's heating up.
Number 3 is none other than the Houston Rockets. It's Olajuwon. It's Kenny the Jet Smith, who we know and love from NBA on TNT. He's hilarious. He keeps Barkley and Shaq in line. His basketball resume, however, not quite as sharp. He was a two-time champion and he was on the 87 All-Rookie team. So he's a little bit worse than Elliott. He's about the same as Scott Skiles from a career standpoint. He does have 2 rings, which Skiles doesn't have, and he has 1 more ring than Elliott. But again, it's because he played with Olajuwon, and it's because Jordan went to play baseball for a couple years. So if we look at Olajuwon, it's just fascinating. I, to this day, think he and Moses Malone are the 2 most underrated centers of all time.
You always have to take things too far, don't you?
Olajuwon and Moses Malone. Go dig, go research it, go look at it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Those are my 2 for the most underrated centers of all time. Olajuwon was a Hall of Famer, 12-time NBA All-Star, 2-time rebounding champ, 3-time block champ, and to this day, still the all-time blocks leader in the NBA, a record that will never be broken because of the way basketball is played now. Only a rule change would bring anybody even into the conversation for blocking as many shots as Olajuwon did back in the day. 2-time NBA champ, like I said, he won them both when Jordan was on his baseball pilgrimage. 12-time All-NBA, 9 times All-Defensive, 84 All-Rookie team, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Finals MVP, and 1993 NBA MVP. And of course, he's on the 75th anniversary team. As I already said, he's in my top 15 players of all time without question. There is no question about it. Him and Shaq are both in there. And I give Olajuwon probably a slight nod over Shaq. I know Shaq has the rings, but Olajuwon, that's close. I don't even want to talk about it. That's another video. I've always wrestled with Shaq versus Olajuwon, and there's pros and cons to both. So we'll leave that for another day.
Who cares?
So here we go. We're at number 2. This is the controversial slide you're about to see. This is the slide that makes me want to vomit. I'm going to puke on my brand new NBA Jam Bucks shirt when I turn this slide over.
You must be joking me, fella.
The guys that I just dislike the most. I didn't even want to use their names, so I've got bad boys up there. The problem is, you got to put them here. They're just insanely balanced. Lambeer was a lot better than I realized. When I went back, and I had no intention of putting this team at number 2, and then I went to basketballreference.com, and I started looking at Bill Lambeer's historical achievements. I did not know he made 4 All-Star teams. I was alive. I watched all that crap. I watched him beat up on Jordan. I mean, I knew he was an okay player. I knew he was an important piece to those Pistons teams. I did not know he made 4 All-Star teams. That's astonishing to me. I also did not know he led the league in rebounding in 1985. So Bill Lambeer is also a 2-time champion. Obviously, we know the Pistons won 2 of them and then walked off without shaking hands. Punks. But if we look at Isaiah Thomas, Hall of Famer, 12-time All-Star, he's smiling at you, but he wants to, murder you in your sleep because that's how he is in real life, and that's how he was on the court. He's not a trustworthy cat. Based on the accounts that I've heard from other players in the NBA that played during his era, his peers and his competitors. Anyway, enough about Isaiah. He's a Hall of Famer. He's 12-time All-Star, 84 assist champ, 2-time NBA champion, 5-time All-NBA, 81 All-Rookie team, 2-time All-Star MVP, and he was a Finals MVP, and he was on the NBA 75th anniversary team. I can see an argument for any of the other teams leapfrogging this team right here at number 2. Comment below if you think that the other 3 teams, the Magic, and then Olajuwon's Rockets, and then Robinson's Spurs should be ahead of the bad boys here. I didn't want to put them here, but this is the conclusion I came to when I dug a little bit closer into the numbers. So team number 1, if you don't know it by now, you didn't play NBA Jam. As much as we didn't really care to watch these dudes on TV play actual NBA basketball, sorry, voice crack. We all respected them on NBA Jam because they were paying the butt, right? So it is none other than the Utah Jazz.
How about I give you a little boom shakalaka?
The grainy picture is perfect because they were old-fashioned. Karl Malone on the left, you got a Hall of Famer. Stockton on the right, you got a Hall of Famer. 24 All-Star teams between them. 14-time All-NBA for Karl, 11 for Stockton. That's 25 All-NBA teams between this duo. 9-time assist champ and the all-time assist record leader. Karl Malone is the top 5 scorer of all time. He was an 85 All-Rookie team, 4-time All-Defensive. Stockton was 5 times All-Defensive. This team checks every box you could imagine. Karl Malone was even 2-time MVP, which one time pissed Jordan off and caused Jordan to come and snatch a ring from him. Both of them on the NBA's 75th anniversary team. Both of them would probably be in the NBA's 30 best players of all time. Well, certainly Malone would. We can argue about Stockton all day long. You know, the argument's always like, well, Stockton was nothing without Malone. And then people argue, well, Malone was nothing without Stockton. Well, at some point, you got to give the dudes credit. I mean, they put it down. They did it on paper. If you ever want to see something interesting, go look at their game logs from the day they entered the NBA until the day they retired, and go look at how many games Stockton and Malone played each season. It is absolutely incredible. You will not be disappointed. Go on Basketball Reference. Go look at them year after year after year. 82, 82, 82, 80, 82, 82, 81, 82, 82. It's incredible. I don't know how they did it. Because they played really physical basketball back in that era. Load management was, not even remotely in their vocabulary. So this is my number one team. But most importantly, I want to hear who your number one team would be. Do you think I'm crazy? I know you want to talk about which team you would like to use. I want you to comment on that as well on NBA Jam. You know, which team you'd like to control in NBA Jam and which player you like to control. Tell me your favorite things about the game. Tell me your the things, which teams you wanted to play with. And then again, this video was about which of these duos was the best in real life. If I'm crazy, tell me I'm crazy. Let me know who your number one would be. But remember, if you're going to comment that, you can't just sling arrows at me. You got to support it and let me know why you think that I'm wrong putting the Utah Jazz at number one. I don't think number one's even close.
Oh, no, he just didn't. That was too easy.
I think 2, 3, 4, and 5, there's an argument and you could flip-flop them, and I want to hear from you. Can anybody in the honorable mention, should they be bumped in? Should Barkley and Kemp and those guys and maybe Mullen and Hardaway jump into the top 5? I don't know. They're more balanced, but you let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching. I do tons of videos like this, just kind of spur of the moment. Not all my videos have to do with basketball cards. Some of them are just like this one. This one's about basketball and arcade games, for goodness sake. So I try to think outside the box and bring you guys some content that can endure, maybe last for a while. Maybe this is a video that somebody would enjoy to watch 2, 3, 4 years down the road, and bring back some nostalgia. But anyway, I put out lots of content like this. If you've watched this far and you haven't subscribed, pause the video and go subscribe. You're going to love some of the stuff I'm bringing to you. I do some regularly scheduled stuff with a heavy tilt towards Michael Jordan. Every Friday, there's a Jordan episode called Explore the Card. Every Monday, we do a PWCC Weekly Auction recap. And every Thursday, we do a PWCC Weekly Auction preview for the auction that's ending 4 days later, just so you guys can get an idea of what's in those auctions. And then, those videos on Monday, we analyze which cards are going up, which cards are going down, and maybe why or what direction it's heading. And we sometimes take a step back and take a big picture look at it and just kind of ask questions and solicit input from the comments to see what you guys think about what some of those cards do. But anyway, hit the bell icon for notifications. I've been releasing a hell of a lot of videos every week, as they say in South Louisiana. So maybe 5 or 6 every week. I don't know how long I can keep this up. There's only so many energy drinks in the world, and at some point I am going to have to sleep, and my wife is going to appreciate it when I do start sleeping, instead of coming up with these nutso ideas. Sorry, I meant to put you back on the big screen. I come up with ideas in the middle of the night. I wake up at 4:15, get up, drink an energy drink, run to the office, and just start yelling at the screen. So if you like my style of talking really fast, I appreciate it. Thanks for being patient with me. I don't put tons of thought into the words I'm going to say. I do put a little bit of time and effort into these slides, which I really like to do because it's almost, it is a PowerPoint presentation. It makes it a little bit easier, but everything else is just from, 43 years of watching NBA basketball, ever since I was a little tiny kid when I was watching ABA games on tape delay. The Kentucky Colonels. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Click one of these videos over here. See if you like some of the other stuff that I've got on this end screen. All you got to do is click and go watch that video. If you see 2 or 3 in a row that you like, you probably need to subscribe. And if you don't mind, cut and paste the link and send it to some of your friends and let them know I'm here. It's really hard to let people know you're here. I'm trying my best, but I guess maybe the best way is just to continue to be consistent and put out some relatively thoughtful content with some issues that you guys like. So I'm rambling now. Keep collecting cards. Stay positive in the hobby. Remember why you're doing